What's up, guys? Welcome back here in Chattanooga, Tennessee at the new house, the new shop. When I last left you guys, I was still in the process of trying to set the shop up. It's been a daunting task, and I haven't documented everything that I've done since I saw you last, but we've made some progress. Okay, so first is the lighting. As you may remember in the last episode, there was no overhead lighting right here. My friend Andy, who owns the building, had a paint booth tent set up in here, kind of transverse to the doors. And as you can clearly see on the floor, that's exactly where he was painting. Just body dust and paint overspray has just caked the floor. So all the wood that's outside was a giant shelving unit that was down here in the corner. And I spent a lot of time tearing that thing apart. I wanted to save most of the wood that it was built out of because I knew I was probably going to want to build workbenches, tables of some sort, maybe even just a low 2-foot high table, 3-foot high table that had casters on it that could be a move around parts cart or parts table of sorts. Once I got that pulled away, it revealed the moisture on the back wall, which has earth behind it. This is a sub-level house, so this back wall, these cinder blocks have ground on the other side of it, and when it rains super hard, moisture permeates through a few spots here, and so this is the worst spot of it here. We just got Hurricane Ida that came through and brought a bunch of rain, and luckily this is the only spot that really started to leak any water. You can see where there's some pretty damp spots along the wall here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the walls in here, and I've decided to go black. I'm going to test the black out with the back wall. I'm going to go all black on this back wall here before I touch the side walls. But the other main reason why I'm going to start with the back wall, aside from it being the most open, is to seal it and to get the moisture from coming in. So that's not going to be in this episode. I did think that today was going to be the day where I got some dry lock sealant on it first and then a coat of black over it. But things changed, and I'm going to work on the floor today. And I might not even film all of that, but it's been really hard to try to prioritize what I need to do first and in what order I should do them. As you can see, I've got the cars and everything else out, except for the little end table car down here. I've got the 700 still in here. Everything pushed down to this side of the shop for the most part. The big bummer is, as I mentioned when I first started filming this place, is this is the bay that I'm going to have the lift in, simply because of this giant whirlpool drain that's over here. So a lift is ultimately going to go in this bay. But Andy and his wife had their washer and dryer set up down here. So I'd like to, in the future, get that set up upstairs in the bathroom, since it's a big closet in the bathroom. I brought my stacker here from New Hampshire, so that'll take up less space. Then all of this corner of this shop can be fab shop. Can be welding table, workbench, grinders, basically all the metal fabrication end will be down here. And then down here will just be like indoor storage for a couple cars, out of the rain, out of the sun. And then laser shop, which would be a little bit more clean room than the fab end of the shop. So although this episode is basically just an update, I've got huge news, and it's news that I've been toiling over as far as a decision to make for weeks now. My Toyota Century is going to Sema in Las Vegas this November. The guys at AccuAir, the new regime at AccuAir, have reached out and wanted to know if I was interested in bringing my long wheelbase Toyota Century out to Vegas for SEMA this year as part of their booth setup and car corral. And the problem is when I first built the car, it was on AccuAir. Then AccuAir went under, the pandemic hit. I ended up redoing the car on airlift, simply for being able to find parts if anything were to break later on down the road, since AccuAir was no more. So the car's currently on airlift. And as I'm recording this, the car would have to be in Las Vegas in exactly 2 months' time. And I'd have to redo the whole car on AccuAir, which is going to be kind of tough because I don't have a shop set up yet, which is why I'm working on that. And it's up to me to get the car out to Vegas. So with the amount of money I've spent on this whole move, getting down here, the amount of money I've spent getting the shop furnished and set up, and I didn't know what the next 2 months were going to hold for me as far as income, as far as setup, as far as expenditures go. And this was going to be an expenditure both on my time and my finances. But some of the kids say you only live once, so I decided to just do it. I'm not the kind of guy that builds SEMA style cars, nor have I ever really aspired to have a car at SEMA, but I've been to SEMA. Most all car guys know how much of a big deal it is. It's one of the largest automotive trade shows in the world. So to have a car at SEMA is really quite a big deal. So in that sense alone, I am super excited and super honored that the Acura guys were interested in having my car as a part of their whole setup this year. Aside from the air ride management, there's still lots on the car that I want to finish and tidy up. You can tell that the sill covers are missing, the rocker covers there. Luckily it is chrome underneath, so it doesn't stand out like a sore thumb, but it did come from Japan missing those on both sides. And unfortunately, the long wheelbase is the most rare Century that they built. They only built a little over 400 of these. So it's been really difficult trying to find the OEM parts, which is what I really wanted to find. I think I'm gonna have to resort to building something that helps finish that whole center section of the car off. So upcoming episodes on the channel are definitely going to be working on the Century and trying to get that thing ready for SEMA. Super exciting. Being in Chattanooga, Tennessee is closer to Vegas than where I was in New Hampshire. So I am contemplating taking it out there myself and not spending all the money on a transport company to ship it out there, which may still end up happening, but I'd like to get my van sold and I'd like to get back into a 1-ton truck. The van's a 1-ton, which is awesome, but I'd like to just get into a truck that's a little bit more comfortable for long drives over the road. I've done thousands and thousands of miles in that with a car behind it in my car trailer, but anyone watching that wants to come get the van in Chattanooga, or if you're local to the Tennessee or Southeast area, I am going to sell the van. Like I said, it's a 3500 1-ton 2-wheel drive, 6-liter Vortec, tow package. It's been towing my 24-foot enclosed trailer all over America. I did an external trans cooler and a handful of other things. All fluids have been done. I think it's time to move that on. So that being said, if I can get my van sold and a truck purchased that's maintained well and basically ready for the drive to Vegas and back from Chattanooga, I'm going to entertain taking the car out myself. I mean, that's why I invested in an enclosed trailer that will fit this car, is so if something like this came up, I can do it myself and I don't have to pay someone else to do it. Huge thanks to AccuAir for wanting this car as a part of their whole setup, their booth display. Super excited about that. Honored, to be honest. I'm not a car builder, in my own opinion. I'm not a guy that produces SEMA-worthy cars. So I'd never solicited anybody to ever have a project at SEMA. So to have this opportunity come up is really quite an honor. And even though I do have so much on my plate, and this was super, super stressful to even just contemplate, I'm honored that I have this opportunity. And if it never comes along again, later on down the road in my life, I'll be happy. I grinded a little bit harder to get this together and have a car at SEMA. So on the subject of the Century and my cars in general, one other thing I wanted to fill you guys in on. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen this already. S3 Magazine, I want to say this month, but I'm pretty sure it was last month. Last month's issue of S3 Magazine was issue 57. If you look farther back a couple years in the videos here on the channel, I had a right-hand drive Euro spec, diplomatically owned Mark 1 E23 735. I drove that car coast to coast, and again, this whole trip is documented on this YouTube channel. September of 2019, drove that car 3,500 miles cross country, did a Governor's Club pop-up tour meet basically in every city, delivered it to his new owner in Costa Mesa, California, and then flew to Seattle from LA, picked up the Century, and drove the Century cross-country home doing pop-up meets on the way back. So this issue covers that story. Now, without giving too much away, because you guys should pick up a copy, and a subscription, by the way, a subscription, 2-year subscription is $25 and you get a free t-shirt. This is not a paid advertisement for S3. But that seems like a really good deal, especially for keeping print alive in today's digital age. So what's really, really cool is my friend Kyron Burnt originally photographed my 7 Series before I sold it in 2018 for a Speed Hunters feature. And that feature never went live for whatever reason. So he had all the photos just sitting on a hard drive and photographed the Century here in Chattanooga at the Westin Hotel. But what's really cool about this feature, it doesn't just have the story about the Century and what I've done and the suspension build and all that and trying to find one, but it also has the story and feature of my 7 Series. So huge thanks to John Woolley from S3 Magazine for not just wanting to tell the story about the Century, but the whole story about my 7 Series, how I found that car. I found it behind a barn in the woods of Vermont on Craigslist, the restoration of that car, the story of driving that car across country, all the while searching the world over for a long wheelbase Toyota Century, having found one in the States and was able to acquire it on the same trip that I was driving the 7 Series cross country to sell, and then driving the Century cross country as well. So this has a double feature of both cars and the one story that they both have tied together. So I thought that was really cool. It was an awesome idea that John had to pair the cars and that one story together in print, which is incredible. I mean, that's like I'm an 80s baby, so it's kind of a dream come true to see your cars in print. It's really kind of crazy today. And the icing on the cake was the fact that Kyron shot both cars. So both features have that continuity. Same photographer, same eye, same color grading, all of that. So this all came together really, really well. So go get a subscription of S3 Magazine. This is issue 57. So that'll do it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to try to do my best to start getting back into the rhythm of making more frequent uploads every week, especially as everything comes together. I've just been under the gun trying to get everything done as quickly as possible and haven't been taking the time to film. But stay tuned for new Ludwig's Garage shop space setup, and as everything comes together for the Century as well. I want to thank everyone at AccuAir for the invitation of the Century to Sema this year as a part of their display. I want to thank the Wheel Price guys. Make sure you download the Wheel Price app for both iOS or Android. It's a free wheel classifieds app. You can both buy, sell, or trade your wheels on that app platform. It's free. The link to both of those app stores are in the description of this video, whether or not you've got an iPhone or Mac device or even an Android. If you're Team Green, make sure you get on that app. I might even be looking for some new wheels for the Century in time for SEMA. Maybe some work Emmets. If you got any listed on Wheel Price, let me know. Or even if you have any for sale, I'd love to find an OE spec of 18-inch Emmets for this car. But download the Wheel Price app. I really, really appreciate what those guys have done to help me out in support of this whole move and just on the channel in general. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I'll see you in the next episode.